There's a version of you that no one sees anymore. Not because she's gone, but because life got so loud and she got so quiet. This episode is a conversation with that version of you, that one that's been waiting patiently beneath the diapers, the laundry, the stress, to feel known again. Let's go find her. Hi there! If this is your first time here, welcome to the Parenthood and Relationship Podcast. I'm your host, Markella Kaplani, a psychologist, a parenthood and relationship coach, and a parent myself. Together, we explore the transformative journey of parenthood and its profound impact on our relationship with ourselves, our partners, and our children, so that we can be present and show up as we envision without having to do more. Let's get into today's episode. Today's episode has a slightly different format. I'm answering your questions, the ones you've messaged me, the ones you've whispered in my ear during our sessions, the ones that you may never have even said out loud, and all of them to point out the same aching space inside, that feeling of being a little lost in parenthood. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because everything has changed so much. So let's talk about it. Grab a coffee, grab a tea, hide in the bathroom for a bit if you have to, and let's walk through these questions together. So the first question is, how do I stop resenting the loss of my freedom, even though I love my kids so much? This one hits hard, right? Let me say this clearly, and I hope that it lands with a soft exhale. Love and grief live in the same breath. You can adore your children. You can be endlessly grateful for them and still grieve that version of your life or yourself that feels so far away right now. That resentment that you feel, it's not about your children. It's your inner world waving a little flag and saying, hey, I miss the spontaneity. I miss not having to explain why I want to be alone. I miss my space. I miss not being touched all day. I miss being able to think a full thought without interruption. And you know what? Resentment builds in this silence. It grows when our needs go unnamed. We don't name them, not because they're wrong, but because they're invisible. So the antidote to resentment isn't guilt, it's curiosity. Let me ask you this. What version of your freedom do you miss the most? What is one small expression of that you can reclaim, even if it's just 5 minutes with headphones on so that no one can ask you anything? This is what I call ambiguous grief, a kind of sorrow that lives in the background. You chose this life with love, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been a loss. And it's okay to honor that. So here's a reframe. You don't need to get your old life back. But in the life that you have now, you do need to start feeling a little bit more like yourself. Try this. Create what I call a freedom anchor, a simple, predictable ritual that you do each week, which has the capacity to give you even that tiny bit of dose of autonomy that you need. Maybe it's a walk alone with your favorite playlist playing. Maybe it's 15 minutes of uninterrupted journaling. It could also be sitting in your car with your coffee for 5 minutes before going back inside. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be yours. Because reclaiming freedom as a parent isn't about escaping, it's about integrating. Gently weaving your needs back into a life that's become too centered on everyone else. And that's not selfish. That is sacred. Moving on to question number 2. My partner seems to have found himself in parenthood, but I feel more lost than ever. What does that say about me? First of all, it says that you're human. Second, it likely says something about who's been holding the invisible weight in your relationship and in this parenting gig. This is more common than we admit. One parent steps into their role and feels purposeful, grounded, even admired. Meanwhile, the other one is quietly unraveling. Not because they're any less committed, quite the opposite. It's because they do so much but feel less seen. And often, especially in heterosexual relationships, the one who is more immersed in the daily emotional and physical labor of caregiving, the one that carries the mental load, is also the one whose identity feels most shaken. You're not broken for feeling this way, but you might be carrying a load that no one else is noticing, and it's heavy. So here's what I want to gently offer. This isn't necessarily about one person doing more or doing less. It's about emotional weight. It's about how society often hands mothers the primary caregiving role and the expectation to surrender who they were while praising the other parent, usually the father, for simply showing up. That imbalance isn't your fault, but it is worth naming. So this is what we call the disparate identity impact, where the same transition, becoming parents, produces radically different inner worlds. For one partner, it may be grounding and giving a sense of pride. It may even give fulfillment, like I've done what I needed to do. I have my career, now I have my family. I'm not saying it's always like this, because there is putrescence, but for the other parent, it can feel like they're disappearing. And neither of this is right or wrong. It's just true. So if you're in such a situation and you feel resentment or sadness or confusion about this gap that's formed, that's opened up between the two of you, try beginning with this. You can say, I love how you have stepped into this role. I see that it's brought something alive in you, and I am still trying to figure out who I am in all of this. Can we talk about how we're supporting each other through this shift? That's not blame, that's brave communication. It's a soft door opening instead of a harsh wall going up. And if you're the one feeling lost, it doesn't mean that you're behind in some way. It means that you are reformed. You're doing the deep work of becoming, not just adapting. So let yourself be honest. Let yourself be seen. Because you matter just as much as your kids do, just as much as your partner does in this story. Question number 3. Is it normal not to want to go back to who I was before, but also not really liking who I am right now? Yes. 1,000 times yes. What you are experiencing has a name. In anthropology and in psychology, we call it liminality, the in-between space, the space where this old self no longer fits, but the new self hasn't formed yet. It's like stranding on a bridge between two identities. And your job right now isn't to sprint across that bridge. It's to feel the ground underneath the feet where you walk. This space, it's messy, it's tender, and it can feel really lonely because it doesn't come with a clear job title or a cultural milestone. There's no ceremony for this version of you that you've outgrown and are leaving behind. But we can see it a little bit differently. Psychologically speaking, this liminal state is one of the richest, yet most disorienting, parts of adult development. Think of it like growing roots underground before anything has bloomed on the surface. It's uncomfortable because it's active, even if it looks still to us. Your nervous system is rewiring. Your values are shifting. Your story is reorienting. So instead of asking, how do I get back to who I used to be, or wanting to be who I used to be, try asking, if I weren't trying to be who I was, who would I want to become now? Let that be your compass. Not the past version of you, but the one that is whispering underneath the noise today. And you can even journal on this. What part of me is waiting to emerge? And what does she need from me right now in order for that to happen? Let the answer be small, gentle, not performative, but true. You don't need to rush. This isn't a race. It's a remembering. And you, just as you are in this in-between space, you are still worthy of care, connection, belonging. Question number 4. I used to feel passionate about my work and my hobbies, and now I feel numb. Will that ever come back? Yes, but probably not in the same way and not all at once. So let's start here. That numbness, it's not laziness and it's not apathy, if that's what you're afraid of. It is your nervous system trying to protect you. When you are emotionally, physically, and mentally stretched thin, especially over a long stretch of time, your body enters conservation mode. It puts things like joy and curiosity and creative energy on pause so that it can prioritize survival. So no wonder that you're not feeling inspired. You're maxed out. Many parents assume that numbness feels they've lost their interest or they've lost themselves completely. But more often, numbness is unprocessed emotion. It's the backlog of grief, joy, rage, fatigue, overstimulation, pressure, and no space to feel any of it. It's not that you don't care. It's that your body hasn't had the room to feel safety for a while. And you cannot summon passion from a place of emotional shutdown. You have to make space for aliveness to return. So before you go chasing after inspiration, chase after an exhale. Start by creating micro moments of nervous system safety. Then, and this is super important, start inviting tiny moments of joy without expectation or having it be performative. Doodle something just to move your hands. Dance in the kitchen to a song that makes you smile. Pick up the guitar, the paintbrush, the journal, not because you have to be creative, but to just feel. Replace the pressure with play. Let joy come in sideways. Let curiosity lead. And remember, even noticing what feels interesting again is a spark. You don't have to feel all the way back to begin the reawakening. Because your passion hasn't left you. It's in resting mode, waiting for you to feel safe enough to welcome it home. And finally, question number 5. What's the first step to feeling like me again? Okay, so this answer is both simple and yet profound. Start by listening to that part of you that misses you. She's still there. The one who used to dance barefoot in the kitchen. The one who stayed up late writing ideas in the notes app. The one who didn't apologize for being too much or too quiet or too tired. She's not gone. She's just buried beneath the noise, beneath the grocery lists, the invisible labor, the decisions, the caretaking, the stretched to the limit marriage. She's waiting, not to be rescued, but to be noticed. There are parts of us that have been exiled. Our creative self, our joyful self, our silly, our sensual self. But they don't disappear. They just go quiet when survival takes the lead. But they are still there, watching, hoping to be welcomed back in. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to be fixed. They just want to be seen. Try this. Each night before you go to bed, ask yourself, what did I do today that was just for me? If the answer is nothing, that's okay. Ask again tomorrow and the next day. This is not going to happen overnight, but reconnection is different than recreation. You don't have to become someone new. What you do have to do is to create some space for the parts of you that exist, but have gone unnurtured for a while. And they may be getting in the way because they are trying to be heard and seen. Before we wrap up, I have one question that I want you to carry with you. What would it look like if you got to live 1 hour a week as if you mattered too? That is where you begin. Not by going back, but by going deeper. By making the quiet parts of you have a voice again. Gently, slowly, with love. Because you are still here and you are worth coming home to. So I want you to remember something. Losing yourself doesn't mean that you're lost forever. It means that you're in a process of becoming. And this version of you, the one that is stretched, that is questioning, that's rediscovering, she might just be the wisest, most tender, kind-hearted, most powerful one yet. These questions that you're asking aren't small. They shape whole seasons of your life. And I want to challenge you. A lot of you think that when you ask these types of questions, that you're failing, that you're a bad mother. But the fact that you're asking them is exactly the opposite. It means that you're well on your way of becoming the new, beautiful version of you that motherhood has gifted you with. Thank you for trusting me and being with me here today. If this episode resonated with you, I would be honored if you shared it with someone who may need it. And leave me an Apple review. That way, other parents, other couples can find their way here as well. Oh, and before I forget, just yesterday, I released a new quiz on my website that you will absolutely love. If you've been feeling like your marriage, your relationship, your partnership has been strained ever since parenthood, and you're trying to figure out where it is that you guys keep on missing each other, I've created the Post-Baby Marriage Audit Quiz. It will help you discover where you and your partner may be missing each other ever since you've had children, whether that is very recent or it's been going on for a while. But what I'm really proud of and what I really stand by, and that's why I'm recommending that you take this quiz, is the tips that you will be receiving in your inbox thereafter, giving you actionable steps that you can take in order to find your way back to each other. So if you want to take this quiz, find the link in the show notes or go directly to markellakaplani.com/marriage audit. That's markellakaplani.com, Markella with double L, /marriage audit. Until next time, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and remember, you don't have to do this alone. I'm right here with you. Take good care. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.